Open worlds have come a long way on Nintendo Switch, and today we're digging into 25 of the best. Whether you're on Switch 1 or playing with that lovely new Switch 2 hardware, these are the worlds worth getting lost in. There's no ranking here, no filler, just 25 genuinely great games in no particular order. And look, I don't know if you've noticed, but YouTube is filling up with AI-generated lists. Robotic voices, bland scripts, clearly no knowledge. So I figured, let's change that. This is all hand-picked, handwritten, and fully played by myself. So let me know in the comments, what genre should I break down next, and what's your favourite open world on Switch? While you're there as well, do me a favour, like, subscribe, it helps a massive amount, especially for a smaller channel like mine, but more importantly, it pushes this video out beyond the algorithm's dodgy, lifeless recommendations. Now, let's get into it. No Man's Sky isn't just massive, it's the closest a Switch gets to a living, breathing galaxy. You're dropped into an endless universe of alien planets, each with its own creatures, weather, and secrets to uncover. One moment you're mining on a storm-wrecked tundra, the next you're dogfighting in space. And the best part, it's still being updated years after launch. Think base building, expeditions, multiplayer, it's all here. And the Switch 1 port was solid, but the Switch 2 version makes it sing. Faster load times, better draw distance, and silky smooth frame rate. If you want an open world you'll never fully reach the edge of, yeah, this is definitely it. Bowser's Fury is proof that open world doesn't have to mean enormous. This is a bite-sized experiment in freedom, a single interconnected map where you can tackle objectives in any order without ever hitting a loading screen. And there's no level select, no overworld hub, just one big evolving playground. Now, gameplay-wise, you'll be collecting cat shines, unlocking new islands, and constantly dodging a rampaging kaiju Bowser who basically destroys this world in real time. The only downside? You can't buy it alone. It's bundled with Super Mario 3D World, but in my opinion, it's way more than just a bonus mode. For many, in fact, it's going to be the future of Mario. Dying Light Platinum Edition is a zombie survival game with an open world built around parkour movement, melee combat, and scavenging by day before the undead get, well, even stronger at night. The story's there. You play as an undercover agent dropped into a quarantined city, but it's really the moment-to-moment tension that hooks you. Now, this one was an impressive port already, but on Switch 2, the smoother frame rate transforms how it plays. It just feels faster, deadlier, and more fluid, and with all the DLC included, yeah, a whole lot of gameplay for your cash. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag is still one of the best pirate games ever made, and yes, it's a full-on open world. Think ship-to-land traversal, naval combat, and dozens of islands to explore. Now, it's set during the golden age of piracy, and you play as Edward Kenway, a rogue assassin navigating a world dense with treasure hunts, forts, diving spots, and sea battles. It's got that Ubisoft sprawl, but it holds up thanks to the tone and setting. And yeah, while it's not a new port either, performance on Switch, it's always been strong. So if you want a classic-style open world with a naval twist, this one is a gem. The Long Dark is one of the most atmospheric survival games on the Switch. It's bleak, quiet, and totally absorbing. It's my favourite survival game, period. But yeah, in this one, you're stranded in the frozen Canadian wilderness after a plane crash. Expect no power, no help, and no second chances. Now, it's not horror, but it's unnerving in a way most games never touch. There's also a full story mode as well for newcomers, but also, of course, for the typical genre fans, there's a survival experience where you're just simply trying to last as long as you can against the cold, the wildlife, and dwindling supplies. So yeah, I think overall, it's a slower paced open world, but one that really sinks its teeth in. If you want something immersive and different, yeah, one of the best games of its kind. Saints Row the Third full package isn't subtle, but it's easily one of the most functional open-world crime games on Switch, and that's exactly why I'm featuring it over the GTA ports. Those have finally clawed their way to a locked 30 on Switch 2, but let's be honest, they struggled for years. Saints Row had its own issues on Switch 1, sure, but it's always been more than playable. And on Switch 2, it's mostly a smooth 60 with only the occasional stumble. As for the story behind the chaos here, you're dropped into Steelport as the Saints go full Hollywood. So think ridiculous missions, absurd weapons, and customization that lets you play it serious or, well, completely unhinged. It's chaotic, it's loud, it's great fun. Rune Factory Guardians of Asuma blends real-time combat, farming, and village building into one of the most unique open-world experiences on Switch. Now, you play as an Earth Dancer, using sacred treasures and dance-inspired moves to fight back the blight corrupting the land. But it's not just about combat. You're rebuilding entire seasonal towns, inviting NPCs to return, restoring the gods themselves, and slowly shaping the world around you. There's then romance, festivals, dungeons, and yeah, plenty of that classic Rune Factory charm, just with a fresh setting inspired by Japanese folklore. Now, I will say it's not a single seamless map, but each zone is really large, explorable, and interconnected, giving it that open-ended feel fans of the genre will love. It runs just fine on Switch 1 then as well, some performance drops here and there, but the Switch 2 build, it looks and runs better. Either way though, I don't think you can go wrong. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen is one of the best action RPGs Capcom has ever made, and yes, it's fully open world. You're the Arisen, chosen by fate after a dragon literally rips your heart out, and from there, yeah, the entire world opens up. Huge monsters, dynamic combat, and a night cycle that genuinely makes things terrifying. But the real hook, you build your own companion called a pawn, who learns basically from your playstyle and travels between other players' worlds. It's a system that feels ahead of its time. Combat then is fast and weighty. It really lets you do things like scale a griffin mid-flight or cling to a cyclops as it swings wildly. And the Switch version, it holds up surprisingly well, especially handheld. And overall, I'd say it's not the prettiest port, but yeah, still one of the most ambitious RPGs on the system. Outer Wilds isn't your typical open world, it's something weirder, deeper, and arguably more rewarding. Now, you're stuck in a 22-minute time loop, exploring a handcrafted solar system as the universe, it resets again and again. There are no quest markers, no combat, no XP bars, just pure curiosity and the freedom to chase whatever catches your eye. You know, one planet's falling apart in real time, another may have a black hole at its core, and it's all about piecing together a story that spans time, space, and ancient civilizations. So yeah, it's a slower paced one, but it sticks with you. And if you love discovery for discovery's sake, Outer Wilds is unmatched. A word of warning, however, with this one, I wouldn't recommend it on Switch 1 unless it's your only option. Expect there a softer image and a rough frame rate. Switch 2, however, sharpens things up and the frame rate sits at a steady 30 FPS. Starlink Battle for Atlas is probably one of the most overlooked open world games on Switch, mostly because of its launch gimmick. It was originally tied to a toy spaceship system that nobody really wanted, and because of that, the core game actually flew under the radar. But you strip away the plastic, and what you've got here is a surprisingly entertaining space exploration game complete with planet hopping, dogfighting, and a full open galaxy to explore. Now on Switch, there's an exclusive bonus too, full Star Fox integration. The whole crew's here with their own story missions and voice acting. Then the planets are handcrafted and movement between them is seamless. So yeah, it's not as deep as No Man's Sky, but for a more arcade-like experience, this one is genuinely a fantastic option. Xenoblade Chronicles X is back and it's better than ever. Set on the alien planet Mira after humanity narrowly escapes a doomed Earth, this throws you into massive seamless landscapes packed with secrets, monsters, and towering Skells. These are giant mechs you can customize and eventually pilot. Now, what made it stand out back on Wii U was its sheer scale, and now, with upgraded visuals, that sense of scale finally gets the performance it deserves. So I expect here to be building out new Los Angeles, grinding for gear, exploring continents, and tackling one of the deepest combat systems in the entire series. This world, though, is huge. There's almost no loading, and on Switch 2, it's basically a locked 30 FPS. Even on Switch 1, it's great, just an incredible game. LA Noire is a very different kind of open world. It's not about freedom or chaos, it's about tension, detail, atmosphere. Now you play as Cole Phelps, a rising detective in post-war Los Angeles. You're solving crimes across a beautifully recreated 1940s city. Now the world, it's not massive by modern standards, but it's dense with story and style, with real cars, real locations, and a mood that few games can match. And then, gameplay-wise, cases are the heart of it. You'll investigate crime scenes, interrogate suspects, and piece together the truth using surprisingly nuanced facial animations that still hold up to this day. In fact, they actually really impress. While I'm on Rockstar as well, we've got to include Red Dead Redemption. This is a slower, more reflective kind of open world, one that isn't just about what you do, but how the world feels around you. Now, you are John Marston, a former outlaw forced to hunt down his old gang, and the game's dusty plains, eerie towns, and fading frontier give it a melancholy weight that still hits. Now, it's not as big or busy as modern open worlds, but it's deliberate. Everything has a pace. The sequel may have gone bigger too, but this is still one of Rockstar's most focused, personal stories, and it's one of the best open worlds on a Nintendo system. Hopefully, Red Dead Redemption 2 comes to the Switch in the future. Kingdom Come Deliverance Royal Edition is one of the most ambitious and grounded RPGs ever made, and the fact that it even runs on Switch at all still feels impossible. Now, set in 15th century Bohemia, there's no magic, no dragons, just a brutal, messy fight for survival in a war-torn medieval world. Now, you play as Henry, the son of a blacksmith, and what starts as a personal revenge story slowly unfolds into something much bigger. You know, it's slow, it's sometimes, well, it's definitely clunky, and yeah, it's rough. On not just the Switch, honestly, any system. It wasn't perfect anywhere. But what makes it special is how committed it is to realism. Combat is weighty and unforgiving. Your gear degrades, and you need to eat and sleep to survive. Now, the Switch 2, it pushes the frame rate closer to where it should be, and it also sharpens up the whole experience. But if you want something gritty, immersive, and totally different from the usual open world formula, I think this one is worth the time. Pokémon Legends Arceus, who knows? But it isn't quite a true open world. It's the closest though the series has ever come. Instead of a seamless map, you get massive interconnected zones that feel wild, untamed, and just full of potential. What sets it apart for me is the atmosphere. You're in kind of a bygone era of this series where catching a Pokémon isn't a sport, it's dangerous work. The structure shifts too. It ditches traditional gyms in favor of research, stealth, and real-time catching mechanics that make exploration feel more meaningful. See, I'd say overall it's kind of scrappy and experimental, sure, but also brilliant. On Switch 1, the frame rate did stumble, I will say that, especially in the more open areas, but that is corrected for the most part on Switch 2. So yeah, look, if you want a Pokemon game that feels different, this one, highly recommend it. Divinity Original Sin 2 then, and I nearly didn't include this one. It's not a typical open world game. I'd say it's kind of like semi-open world, but it absolutely earns a spot here, so I had to plug it in. It's not seamless in the usual sense, basically. Instead, you're exploring like these massive zones, but they're packed with quests, secrets, and choices that actually matter. And yeah, gameplay-wise, you're playing from a top-down view. Combat is turn-based, but all of this, don't let it fool you. This world offers more freedom than most traditional open worlds ever will. Now, the story, it starts with a group of prisoners on a magic-infested island, but where it goes from there, it's really just entirely up to you. You can side with villains, betray your allies, or turn the whole world against you. It is all possible. And then, it's not the best-looking game on Switch, sure, but it's a miracle it runs this well, and this comes from the team behind Baldur's Gate, so hopefully that's winging its way to the Switch 2 very soon. But yeah, look, if you want deep role-playing and narrative freedom, nothing else on this list comes close. Nier Automata isn't a traditional open world either, but it makes the cut for how expansive, interconnected, and layered its zones feel. Now, you play as 2B, an android sent to Earth to fight off a robotic invasion, but the story quickly becomes something else entirely. It's philosophical, strange, and emotionally devastating in ways most games wouldn't dare. And the world, it unfolds in chunks with secrets tucked behind progression, and as you unlock new characters and paths, the scale and meaning basically of everything here just shifts. The combat is slick, fast, and varied, and while traversal is, again, hub-based, each area feels open-ended and rewarding to explore. Now, on the Switch then as well, the port holds up surprisingly well, and making this one of the best action RPGs on the system. Now again, it's not quite open world in the Skyrim sense, but for storytelling, design, the locations, and style, I think it absolutely deserves its place. On Skyrim, let's talk about it, and this might be the most re-released game in history. I'm pretty sure it'll be like pre-installed on fridges and microwaves any day now, but there's a reason for that. It's still one of the best open world fantasy RPGs ever made. Now, you are the Dragonborn, destined to take down an ancient evil, but the game barely nudges you, and you can basically do whatever the hell you want. Join a guild, become a vampire, wander into caves you shouldn't survive, or just shout people off cliffs. Now, the Switch version then includes all the DLC, and it even adds motion controls if that is your thing. Now, it's not the best looking version out there by a long shot, but having Skyrim on a handheld that lasts more than 20 minutes, that's still kind of magic. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition is massive, a sprawling, story-rich fantasy world packed with monsters, politics, heartbreak, and real consequences. Now, you play as a witcher chasing down the child of prophecy while getting tangled in wars, curses, and contracts that rarely end cleanly. It's one of the most narratively rich games ever made, and the fact that it works on Switch at all feels just like a miracle. Now, no, it's not a lacquer on Switch 1. Textures are soft and sacrifices were definitely made, but the full game is here. Now, on Switch 2, it's just better, a more stable frame rate, and a noticeable clarity boost. It makes it so much more smoother. So overall, one of the best RPGs you can play on any system, and yeah, well worth it. Subnautica then is one of the most quietly terrifying open worlds on Switch. After crash landing on an alien ocean planet, you are left with nothing but a life pod and a scanner, and you'll need to survive, scavenge, craft, and explore. There's no real map, no hand-holding, no way to predict where you're going to end up. You know, one minute you might be building a base near a reef, the next you're descending into a glowing trench you probably shouldn't be in. Just watch out, I'll say this. There are more than a few dangerous things down there. Apart from that though, let's leave it at that. No spoilers, and Subnautica, it's best just experienced. Immortals Fenyx Rising is Ubisoft's most obvious answer to Breath of the Wild. In fact, many will criticize it for that. But look, the game's great fun and it just works real well. Now you'll be playing as Phoenix, who is tasked with saving the Greek gods after they're overthrown by a titan. The world though is fully open from the beginning. It's divided into themed regions based on each god, and yeah, they're packed with puzzles, combat encounters, and just simply mythological weirdness. It is lighter and more playerful than most games on this list today, but the traversal, gliding, and stamina-based climbing, it's all going to feel instantly familiar to Zelda fans. The writing then, it definitely leans a little silly, sure, but the systems are strong and the Switch version is solid. See, I think this is a great choice if you want something big, colourful, and yeah, laid back but easy to get lost in. Hogwarts Legacy was a bit of a miracle to get running on Switch at all, and while the Switch 1 version does work, it's definitely playable. Let's be real, it was rough. The new Switch 2 build, genuinely impressive. Load times with traversal, they were the biggest issue before. I think going into buildings, a long-ass load screen would be awaiting you. They are now gone. Then the visuals are massively upgraded and it performs really well across the board. As for the game itself, what can you expect? You're stepping into Hogwarts in the 1800s, long before Harry, as a mysterious fifth-year student with a special connection to ancient magic. Now you'll attend classes, explore the castle, and uncover a dark plot brewing just outside the school walls. The world though is huge, it's packed with secrets, and it basically just lets you live out that full wizarding fantasy. And now, on Switch 2, it finally feels the way it really always should have. Yakuza 0 on Switch 2 is nothing short of a dream. It runs at a locked 60 frames per second, it looks gorgeous, and it's arguably the best version of the game you can play anywhere, handheld or not. Now technically, it takes place across two separate districts rather than one seamless map. But Kamurocho, especially Kamurocho, is one of the most densely packed locations in gaming. From arcades and fight clubs to karaoke bars, it is incredible. It feels alive, hence the inclusion. Now you'll be playing as Kiryu and Majima in a dual protagonist story set in the late 80s. The setup, a murder tight but tiny but valuable patch of land, draws both men into a brutal power struggle between rival factions. It's very slick, it's very emotional, it is also wildly unpredictable. The main plot, for example, hits real hard, but the side stories, some of the funniest and most absurd you'll see pretty much anywhere. But yeah, if you've never played a Yakuza game before, this is the perfect place to start. And if you're still on Switch 1, do not worry, Yakuza Kiwami, it's a fantastic alternative. Tears of the Kingdom then expands on Breath of the Wild in all the right ways. You're once again exploring the vast kingdom of Hyrule, but now there's a sky to soar through and a dark, dangerous underworld to uncover. Now you'll be playing as usual as Link, tasked with stopping a new calamity and tracking down Zelda. But the real star here is the world itself. It's layered, reactive, and just full of wild tools that let you solve problems your way, whether that's building contraptions or creatively chasing puzzles. And while Breath of the Wild still holds up, Tears feels more ambitious in every direction. You know, the story takes darker turns, the world hits harder, and exploration is just as rewarding. On Switch 2 then, both games received upgrades and benefit from upgraded visuals and smoother performance, I think locked frame rates, faster loading, and generally sharper image quality. They were rough to begin with either, but now they just feel better than ever. So yeah, two of the most satisfying open worlds Nintendo's ever delivered. Cyberpunk 2077 closes out this list in style, and yes, it's exclusive to Switch 2. But what you're getting here is the full Ultimate Edition. That's the base game, the excellent Phantom Liberty expansion, and every quality of life update rolled in. It's really easy to forget how far this game has come, but what's truly shocking is how well it runs on Nintendo's new hardware. You know, CD Projekt Red done an incredible job translating one of the most detailed, reactive open worlds ever made onto a handheld format, and it holds up beautifully. Now you'll be playing as Fee, a merc trying to survive and thrive in the neon sprawl of Night City, a place that's filled with corporations, gangs, and yeah, often impossible choices. And if you've played it before, this version I think is still worth revisiting. I've played it like 2 or 3 times now, and that's thanks to things like mouse integration, and also just the fact, for me at least, it's the best portable way to play. So yeah, CD Projekt Red, absolute masters of the impossible port, and it isn't just one of the best open worlds on Switch, it's one of the best, period. So that's it, 25 of the best open world games you can play right now on Switch. Some are massive, others more focused, a few are new, some are old favourites even made fresh again with Switch 2 patches, but all of them, in one way or another, let you step into another world and explore at your own pace, which really is what great open world design is all about. So if you found something new to try or you just enjoyed the journey, do the usual, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and let me know in the comments which open world you've sunk the most hours into. Alright, thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers all.